parliamentarians are now going to be getting and compare them to what elsewhere in the Caribbean is paying. So the Prime Minister, Jamaica, for instance...
so we know that these salaries, I mean, we've done our homework, so I don't know that these
you
salaries
you don't want me to share with the public.
Put parliamentarians and ministers in Jamaica...
Bless up my people, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. And so in this one, my people, we're seeing the Finance Minister Nigel Clark with some parting words at the Parliament when he spoke from the Financial Committee. And some people is basically warning that unless the government ministries, departments and agencies control the number of overtime hours worked by their employees, the country could find itself in a deep fiscal problems. The committee was examining the supplementary estimates for the 2024-25 fiscal year, which provides for an increase in total government expenditure and payments by approximately $40.7 billion, increasing the budget for the year to $1.38 trillion. The revised budget includes an additional $11.6 billion, primarily due to the higher than originally included third-year cost for the implementation of the restructured public sector compensation system, my people, where everybody else got 20% and the parliamentarians got 300% increase.
We looked at the salaries that our parliamentarians are now going to be getting and compare them to what elsewhere in the Caribbean is paying. So the Prime Minister, Jamaica, for instance...
so we know that these salaries, I mean, we've done our homework, so I don't know that these salaries...
You don't want me to share with the public.
Put parliamentarians and ministers in Jamaica higher than any other country in the Caribbean region.
You're trying to stop me from sharing.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so
I am saying to you, I'm familiar with it,
but
and I'm sharing it as well.
Are not. So let me go ahead very quickly. Prime Minister for Jamaica is going to be over 25 million. Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister is 13 million. Bahamas 13. Minister of Finance for Jamaica 21.7 million. Trinidad and Tobago 9 million. I'm quoting everything in Jamaican dollars. Bahamas 10.2 million. In Jamaica, Cabinet Minister will be at 20.2 million. Trinidad and Tobago 9 million. Bahamas 10.2. And an MP in Jamaica will be at 12.5. Trinidad and Tobago 3.8. Bahamas 4.3. How on earth do we justify these levels of salaries in a country that we're certainly doing far worse than Bahamas? And when you look at what is happening elsewhere in the region, there's absolutely no justification for this, surely.
Okay. So, again, first of all, Barbados, Trinidad, and Bahamas have not entered into a public sector restructuring. The way in which they have recovered from COVID has not put them in a position that they can add this amount to their wage bill to pay their public sectors. Jamaica is the only country in the region coming out of a pandemic that's been able to offer these levels of adjustments to its public service.
Right. Secondly, given what we're seeing in terms of our level of development and our per capita income compared to those other countries.
Right. Because of what we are going through, the experience that we have, Dion, we are unable to attract and retain the talent that we need to run the public bureaucracy. That is going to change in salaries alone will not fix it, but it will go a long way towards addressing that problem.
And now he's departing and telling us that the agencies and departments must watch the amount of overtime them give people. Sometimes at the overtime help the little people them to, catch up on some bills to afford little more food extra for their family with this inflation and food prices so high, my people, right? Them can easily afford it because them get how much thing increase. But them want to watch the overtime for the layman. Them I get how much overtime, my people. Even the very same commissioner of police, I get how much overtime pay, right? Why him never give the parliamentarians them 20% like everybody else? He had to give them 200 and 300% increase, and now him want come tell people say for watch the amount of overtime or for manage the amount of overtime, so to speak. This is the very same finance minister who is taking up a post at the IMF, departing Jamaica's business to go to IMF this mountain, my people. Tell me what you think.
About 10:43 a.m., right at the New Kingston corporate car park, number one. The complainant, Mr. Ryan Evans, he's also the director of corruption prevention at the Integrity Commission, was in the car park. Whilst he exited the car park, he was pounced upon by at least two men who rode up on a motorcycle. The pillion proceeded to come off the motorcycle and attacked him. He pulled a firearm, and a struggle took place between the complainant and the pillion. During the struggle, a black briefcase seemed to have been the subject of his curiosity. A struggle developed between himself and the complainant for that briefcase, and during the struggle, the complainant was shot. The pillion seemed to have left with the briefcase. The complainant himself was he drove himself to the hospital where he's currently being treated. As far as we know at this point, robbery seems to have been the main motive. We are uncertain of what else took place, but it's early days in the investigation. As the investigation develops, we'll provide you with additional information. But the complainant is stable at this time.
Any ideas to what is in the briefcase?
We can't say at this time.
Yeah. At a time when we know the work of the Integrity Commission, we know what they do. Is there any motive?
I can appreciate where your mind is going, but at this stage, we have no information that will connect both instances at this time. We're treating it as a robbery and watch the investigation as it develops. It is a consideration, but as it is right now, not as yet. But we are assisting the staff and we are assisting the complainant as it relates to this robbery.
What's your thoughts on the shooting?
Should ask the government that.
Why, sir? What does it mean, sir?
Ask them what that means.
Anyways, my people, we've seen where the Integrity Commission appeared in Parliament to answer questions at the Integrity Commission's Oversight Committee meeting. And I had to bring this part where we're seeing Pernell Charles Jr. asking the commissioners, specifically the chairman, Seymour Panton, what he thought about Greg Christie's comment after Mr. Ryan Evans, one of the director of the Integrity Commission, was shot last year, and they said that the motive was robbery. And my people, I want you to listen to what Mr. Seymour Panton had to respond to Pernell Charles Jr. about Greg Christie's statement.
I'm compelled to ask of the Commission's perspective in that context on statements that have been made by the Executive Director in September 2023 when, following the unfortunate incident on Director Evans, we heard a response saying you should ask the government that, ask them what it means. I note the response in writing, the explanation, but I would like to know objectively, and this is not an attack. In this space, we should be able to have honest, open conversation, and the country wants to know this. So let us put it to rest today. What, Chairman Panton, is your perspective on those comments from our Executive Director following such a significant and unfortunate incident? Do you consider those statements to be statements that you would categorize as such that fuel a sort of mood among sycophants, and statements within the category that we should be careful of because of how the society would view them? Chairman, I'm very interested in knowing that. And in that vein, I have other issues, but I will ask the chairman that first and then move to the other matter.
I'm surprised that that statement by the executive director has been raised again. The fact of the matter is that those of us who are on the commission were in a position then, at the time of the incident, to understand why the executive director reacted as he did. Now, there were some very serious security concerns. I don't want to go in depth, but I have to say, because I have been asked, that Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner of Police Anderson, gave certain instructions to one of his senior members, and those instructions were not carried out. Had those instructions been carried out, the incident may well not have happened in respect of Director Evans. And in fact, Mr. Chairman, as a result of the disregard of the instructions of Commissioner of Police Anderson, I had to write a letter to the Prime Minister of Jamaica, copied to the Minister of National Security, exactly 1 week before this incident. And there's much more I could say, but the reaction by the ED was, to our mind, understandable. I leave it at that.
And some people, the Commissioner of Police at the time, Anthony Anderson, had given a command to one of the senior, right? Now, my people, it is alleged that that senior was Fitz Bailey, and it was 1 week before the incident that the chairman had written to the Prime Minister asking for increased security. So who wouldn't be upset? Who wouldn't pass a statement like that? We would have to lay the blame right there on the government, as Christie had stated. Because they say if them ask for increased security a week before and the incident happened a week after, who wouldn't pass a statement like that? Anyhow, my beautiful people, no way in on this, tell me what you think. Drop on the 2 cents in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Run go over to my other platform, Facebook, TikTok. Follow me over there at Anisabel Rose. Like up the video, share it out. If you're new to the channel, subscribe on the road to 30K. Stay tuned for more videos. Stay tuned for more updates. Big up on yourself.